Hello out there, comic book lovers. It is Friday. So, that means I'm doing my Friday night reviews. I am going to take three comics from the previous Wednesday, so the three, what I thought were the best, and do a review of them. And then I'm going to take the one that I liked the least. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad, but it's the one that I liked the least. And check it out. And I'm back for the last book of the week, the one that I liked the most. And this really surprised me because this, I keep saying this, was a blind buy. I know I was complaining earlier about buying a book for the cover, which this one turned out, that one, which is the marked, turned out to be a really bad idea. But of course I knew better at the time. But with this blind buy, I saw the cover and couldn't really find anything about it. Didn't know anything about it, but I picked it up anyway. And damn, I'm glad I did. The true story of Janie Blank, Hot Valley Days and Cocaine Nights. Book 1 of 3. And you can see her last name is crossed out, so that's why you don't know what her last name is. This is a really fun book. And if you can see, it says, based on a true story. Right, okay, so here is, this is going to be an aside here. This is my feelings on based on a true story. Right? I go to work 5 days a week. I drive to work. Right? So I can write a story about me when I'm driving to work and I come across a big slaughter and get involved with this big gang war, and lots of people get shot up and murdered, and it's really interesting, and I never make it to work. And I can say based on a true story because I do drive to work. So how much of this stuff is based in reality or not? Or I could just be completely overthinking things, which that'd probably be the second one. Anyway, that's extraneous, and who cares? I'm sure you weren't coming here to hear my opinions on that type of stuff. Actually, probably coming here to hear my opinion on the book, which is probably about on the same level as that stuff I just spewed out a second ago, but it's not the point. So, when I did my LCS haul, I said this does look like something out of Miami Vice. I mean, look at the fashions. This book, the main character is Janie, Janie, and it covers 3 different periods of her life. You have her growing up in little flashback segments to show what her family life was like back in the day. It was her and a younger sister and younger brother. They had a really kind of fucked up family. Her parents were partiers and just completely worthless as parents. They were living with their grandfather, who was abusive and not in the physical way, as in like beating, because they relied on his pension. And so the kids were pretty much left on their own. And Janie, you could tell even then, she was a go-getter. She had things that she wanted to get. They didn't have any money. So she was doing stuff like mowing lawns. And you could tell even then that she was a shrewd business person and kept an eye out on stuff, like money, because she gets done mowing this old lady's lawn and goes up to collect the money and calls this old lady out on being 50 cents short. This is back in in 78, I think it says. Yeah, it's 1978. And then it jumps to what is referred to as present day, which is in the 80s, so I was right about the cover. This takes place in the 80s, where she is a really kind of high-level drug dealer. Like, over 50% of this group's profits and clientele are because of her. So it's her and her younger brother, doing stuff, working together. She's the brains, and he does stuff for her that she doesn't have to worry about, because one of the things in the story is she's a neat freak, and he keeps things clean for her so she doesn't need to worry about it. And so there's all these people who are going, why do you have this guy around? He doesn't do shit. He's getting a free ride. What are you doing? She's like, he keeps things clean. Don't worry about it. And so you have this part of the story about where her dealing with that, and then it also shows the in-between period of how she and her brother got into the drug dealing stuff. And wow, this is a really interesting story, and I like the way that they did it. And here, this is by Antarctic Press, by the way. Sorry, let me get into I forgot to do who the writers are. Let's see. Okay, written by Matthew Spalding, based on actual events, adapted from a script by Matthew Spradlin. Oh, so Matthew Spradlin is the writer on here, and he actually wrote the script too. And says, based on the original story by Sean DeMont and Matthew Spradlin. So pencils and inks is also done by Fareed Karami. I hope I pronounced that right. So I think this actually may have been actually based on some real life people. And it is book 1 of 3. And one thing I love about this Antarctic Press, look at the price. It's $3.99. And this thing is about 2 or 3 times the size of a regular book that you'd pay for it. Look at Detective Comics. This was $4.99 because it had the cardstock variant cover. And look at the size of this one, and this is with the bag and board on it. That's $4.99. Or it would have been $3.99 without a cardstock. And this actually has what feels like a cardstock cover. It's $3.99, and then look at the size of this, and this is without the bag and board. So there's got a lot of stuff in here. Good, compact storytelling. The art is really awesome, because that right there is Jamie. That right there. Just some really kind of fun things like the club scene in the 80s, which I didn't get much involved with because I was only 18 in 87, so the clubs I was going to were overseas and couldn't legally come to the clubs in the States until the 90s, because that's when I turned 21 and stuff. So, but yes, I highly recommend this book. It is such a good story. The artwork is incredible. The price makes it even better. I'm going to give this a 4.5 out of 5 just because it was so fun. And I want to know, how this turns out, how she continued from where she was, this little trailer trash podunk little town up into becoming one of the biggest drug, working for this huge drug organization, and then what happens to her. This is incredible. There's only 2 more books, and I'm going to get both of them, and I hope they are just as good as the first one. And if the first one is any indication, it will be. So, if you like it, it's kind of like a Miami Vice type thing without the cops, so far. If you like that type of stuff, get it, because I highly recommend it. And if you have got it, let me know what you think. And either way,